A nationwide pause on renewing work permits for certain immigrants is having a ripple effect here in Maine. Immigrants need those work permits to earn money, provide for their families, and ultimately pay taxes. This pause applies to 3 programs. One program is meant to help Ukrainian citizens temporarily come to the U.S. for refuge amid the war with Russia. The other 2 programs are meant to decrease illegal immigration at the southern border by offering safe and legal pathways to temporarily live in the U.S. President Trump's administration froze new applications from people in these programs due to cases of fraud, according to the Department of Homeland Security. One man from Ukraine who lives here in Maine says the setback has brought his new life in America to a halt. News Center Maine's Alex Haskell shows us why local leaders fear the impact could stretch beyond just immigrants.
Living in Ukraine was pretty tough.
2 years ago, Artem Sirenko fled his war-torn country and came to Maine through Uniting for Ukraine, a federal program offering temporary refuge and work opportunities to Ukrainians escaping the Russian invasion. He settled in Biddeford and found stability, even getting a job at the deli counter at his local Walmart.
I loved it, and so it was a very big opportunity for me, actually.
But that job vanished last month when his work authorization expired. Sirenko says he's been trying to renew it since January. Now he's in limbo, unable to earn a paycheck and unsure if he will work again in the U.S.
It could work for like 2-3 months, but not for a long time.
Sirenko isn't the only one. Tens of thousands of legal immigrants across the U.S. are facing the same uncertainty. It started earlier this year when the Trump administration stopped processing all applications, such as work permits, from people in programs like Uniting for Ukraine. The administration says the pause is needed to review the applications for possible fraud and national security concerns.
This is horrible for our Maine employers.
Lewiston Mayor Carl Shaleen says the pause could have major consequences for people and businesses and communities such as his with large immigrant populations.
We live in a time right now where immigrants are unfairly targeted. Most immigrants are hardworking. They want to do right by themselves, their families, and this country.
He's rallying support from Maine's congressional delegation on this issue. In a statement, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree calling the policy reckless and short-sighted, adding, "This isn't some innocent policy oversight. It's part of a deliberate plan to make it as difficult as possible for people who are potentially eligible for permanent immigration status to remain in the United States legally so the administration can justify detaining and deporting them."
I would stay here even forever and make a family.
For now, that dream, as well as those of other immigrants like Sirenko, are on hold. If something doesn't change soon, he says he may have no choice but to return to Ukraine.
I feel sad, but it is what it is, So hopefully things will change.
Until then, he's relying on food stamps and the kindness of his family here in Maine to get by. In Biddeford, Alex Haskell, News Center, Maine.
And late last month, a federal judge in Massachusetts ordered the federal government to resume processing these applications. Staff with the Trump administration say they will comply, but that these applications are still subject to additional vetting. It's unclear how long that vetting process could take.